Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. I'm joined with my good friend Arnold for another episode of Sane in an Insane World. And as always, we'll let you know what we're going to be discussing this week to keep you entertained. The Iran-Israel war, next industrial revolution, the WHO pandemic agreement, and Northern Ireland protests. AI. Meta launches AI world model to advance robotics, self-driving cars. AI can do anything we can. And Larry Ellison's proposal for government AI integration and quantum computing. Good news, Caravan. Prosthetic leg for a friend. I suppose it's good news for him. John Hopkins researchers have made a groundbreaking discovery in cancer detection and turned soda cans and seawater into clean hydrogen energy. Smell in car. Yoga Nidra study on sleep and cognitive functions. Shaken airs. Benefits of ginger and Bovaer. And finally, other topics. Obeying orders lowers moral responsibility. We are the shield protecting children and accountants to Kiev. So I suppose Israel, I know it's one that a lot of us are kind of aware of, but I said I'd kind of go into it a bit just to let you know what's going on. The current escalations was initiated by Israel on Friday, June the 13th, 2025, when Israeli jets conducted a significant military operation targeting Iran's nuclear and military sites. The attack resulted in multiple explosions in Tehran and other parts of Iran, deaths of several top-ranking Iranian military commanders, and casualties among nuclear scientists. And kind of going into the historical context and motivation, nuclear program concerns. Israel views Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat to its existence, which has been a primary driver of tensions. What about, does anybody have concerns about Israel having nuclear bombs, considering that they're just bombing the shite out of Gaza for how many years? Religious and ideology differences. The conflict is rooted in religious and Iran, predominantly Shia Muslims, positioning itself against Israel, Jewish state. Geopolitical rivalry. Both nations compete for regional influence, with Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah and Hamas directly conflicting with Israel's security interest. And recent escalations to conflict. In April, Israel bombed an Iranian consulate in Damascus. Iran retaliated with over 300 missiles and drones towards Israel, and Israel continues with strikes on Iranian military sites and assassinations of key figures. So, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time. Like, one of the things that I saw was they were saying, Pakistan was kind of saying that they were going to kind of back them, if other countries got and were threatening nuclear. I couldn't find much on that, but I've seen a few posts on it, but it's very hard to decipher what's right and what's not. But so Pakistan has strongly condemned Israel's actions as a grave danger and a serious threat to regional and global peace. Through their UN ambassador, Asmir Iftikhar Ahmed, Pakistan has denounced Israel's unjustified and legitimate aggression, nuclear security concerns. Pakistan is aligned with IAEA concerns about targeting nuclear sites. They've emphasized the serious implications of nuclear safety. And one of the things why Pakistan has expressed serious concerns about nuclear security and condemnation the attacks on nuclear facilities, they have not explicitly threatened nuclear war if other countries get involved. So I'm getting mixed reactions on that one. So on the show, instead they focused on diplomatic solutions and international law, citing Article 51 of the UN Charter to support Iran's right to self-defense, which, the reality is if they've attacked. But one of the things that I came across, and I wasn't aware of this, it was the countries that do not recognize Israel. And there's 29 of them. Algeria, there's Iraq, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. I'm just going through Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, uh, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea. So there's 29 countries in total, which is something I wasn't aware of, but it's not looking good. It's dangerous. I know that there's a lot of people in bunkers and everything. Of course, there's it's the citizens that get the brunt of this. But and if we look, all oil prices now will go through the roof. So every conflict, it's like they're getting the oil from the place that there's a conflict with the Russian Ukraine. Oil went through the roof with Iraq. Oil went through the roof now because of Iran. Oil is going to go through the roof. So we'll all have, our bills have already doubled our trouble. So expect more costs because of this.
Yeah, and if you think about it, all the the shipping lines which go from China to Europe, they have to pass Iran and well, later on the Suez Canal and everything. So that will be an impact. And if you add to that the tariffs which Trump increased everywhere, so yeah, it will be totally crazy. I would like to add two things. I saw a documentary a few years ago that many years ago the guys who are now running Iran seem to be Islam guys, and they got big beards and they got these coats on and they look really. I saw pictures of these guys. They were just shaven and they look with Western suits on. So they are not originally like that. They're put there by the Americans. So it was really weird, and there were real pictures of like, hey, look, you see them walking there in a normal coat, and then well, they grow their beard and put on these coats. So well, that is something to question. Another thing is that it's clear that in all of these wars, or even well, Gaza thing is not a war; it's just a genocide. But it like the precision weapons what they're using, and a lot of these things are unmanned. They're just drones, they're missiles, rockets, with everything. Well, there are people operating them, but for the rest, there are no people involved. I saw one picture, and well, yeah, because of the fake video, you never know what's true. But there was a photo of one apartment building in Tehran where one of these general who got killed lived, and you saw like an apartment building, let's say of 12 stories, that where the guy lived, there was a hole. So that's where the rocket went in. So they can just literally program a missile that it goes exactly in your apartment and a building with 150 other apartments. That's incredible and frightening at the same time. But it's like people can operate these things from a distance. And still they want to create a lot of damage. And where's the damage? The civilians. Because I saw messages that Netanyahu, that he is in a bunker in Greece. So it's like, so the people who get targeted are just normal people like you and I who live in the city. So let's move on. Well, somehow it is related, but let's not go there. It's about robots. Mark Andreessen, he's a very famous guy in Silicon Valley. He's I would say, a friend of like Trump and Musk and Ellison. We will discuss later on. So he's like, well, the same group of people. Let me put it like that. And he predicts that humanoid robotics, what you cannot see is there's even a kind of a head on top of this thing. This is the Tesla robot called Optimus, by the way. And he said that humanoid robotics will become the most lucrative market in history. So it's not no longer that robots are there for a long time, like assembly lines where let's take manufacturing cars. There are a lot of robots involved with it, but he says this is going to be a bigger market than anything, and so he says that's why it's very crucial that in the US we need to build robot factories because he thinks it's the next industrial revolution. Well, what I would suggest is that, and what I've been saying here on the show is that we're going to see the AI thing where we come later today as well, and these robots. And if you combine the two, that is what's influenced. A robot is nothing without AI. It cannot move, it cannot walk, it cannot touch, whatever. Yeah, it's the operating system which makes it do what it wants. Yeah, so it's kind of, you could even call this the executive arm of the AI. And yeah, you already see, I know there's police in Dubai and other countries who got robots, and they got these robot dogs or whatever what they're using. But if this guy says this is going to be the most lucrative market, well, be ready that there will be a lot of these. Well, I don't know whether they're guys or boys or girls, but it's like these things will show up everywhere.
And yeah, the movies that they show us, they normally tell us what's kind of coming in the future. So is Terminator something that's going to happen? It wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
Absolutely.
especially with the people around the world. Yeah. So, I mean, I've had guests on talking about this, the WHO World the pandemic agreement. So it was formally adopted by World Health Assembly on May the 20th of this year, with 124 members stating state delegations voting in favor, 11 abstentions and no objections. And for me, that's like in any political party, an abstention is basically saying, yeah, we agree, but we just don't want to be looking bad. So abstention that shouldn't be allowed. That means you're voting yes when you know what way it's going to be. Implementation of the agreement will only enter into force after a ratification of at least 60 countries. This means that currently, while 124 countries have voted in favour, the agreement is not yet effective pending notification. And in nature, the agreement does not transfer direct power to the WHO in a way that overrides national sovereignty, but I'm hearing different things on that. It improves pandemic prevention, preparedness and response, plandemic we mean, establishing principal priorities and targets, ensuring equitable access to pandemic-related resources like vaccines and protective equipment. So just like what they've done before, so now they can determine and just push it all over the place. So, yeah, it's like there's a lot of people that were trying to stop this happening, and this is scary because the reality is saying, yeah, it doesn't affect your sovereignty, but we saw what happened in the 20s with the way they pushed this and telling everybody, hey, you can't go to work, you get a job, you can't go on the street, you have to do this, you have to do that. This is basically this by 10 or by 100, where they determine, hey, and they're constantly, all these biolabs everywhere, their plan is to just ruin humanity. So, like, I don't know why any country would actually have anything to do with it. If you actually dig deep and look at the people running it and controlling it, ain't the good boys. So, yeah, we have to be careful of this one.
Yeah, well, what is I've been showing in the show for many countries, from Spain to London to France, all kinds of demonstrations. But this is in Northern Ireland, and not even in Belfast, but in a couple of smaller cities. Is that they're ready for the third consecutive night? There's anti-immigrant violence, and so people are really fed up by immigrants taking over their cultures and societies and institutions and not police their houses. Yeah, so this is where you can see it's an official picture from France Press. It's happening, yeah, even in small cities, that people have had enough. Yeah, people are no longer accepting it. And I think that's a good thing.
And I think it's Ballymead, but what I'd heard is that they raped a granny and a child, and that kind of sparked it. So, and that's happening everywhere. Like Ireland is destroyed. These, you know, people just and the government protecting them because they're they're all in on it. And yeah, it's you have to stand up. That's the thing. You just have to stand up. And what they're doing, I don't know that I mentioned it, but in Ireland they're stopping they're blocking the construction sites. Some they even went in and destroyed the construction equipment as well in my city. So you don't wait till they're there. Stop them when you see them coming. And most of in Ireland, most of the leaders actually have houses where they're housing these people, and the amount of money that they get is based on bed. They're making millions. So you have the government who's pushing this, who have their hands in their pocket and they're feeding themselves, and also they're getting involved in mosques now as well. So the whole lot of them need to be kicked out. Like, and I see them protesting. Even my mother last week, she protested. I know we were discussing it ourselves. Like the protest in Cork was a very good turnout, but I don't think that makes it. It never makes a difference. It's like, and most of the speakers, to be honest, like I wasn't impressed with the way they do it or their planning and everything. It's like, hey, let's get angry. That doesn't work. You go to the councillors. You surround their houses. You shun the whole lot of them. It's the only way you're going to stop it. Like, you have to go. They're supposed to represent us. They're not representing us in any country. So there's no point in marching. You march. You organise 1,000 people outside their house, and that's going to make the difference. It's the only way.
Absolutely.
So AI Meta launches AI world model to advanced robotics self-driving cars. On Wednesday announced it's rolling out a new AI model that can better understand the 3D environment and movements of physical objects. The tech giant, which owns popular Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and there's a load of other things that they own, said this new open source AI model, VJEPA, JEPA2, can understand, predict, and plan in the physical world. Known as a world model, these systems take inspiration from the logic of the physical world to build an internal simulation of reality, allowing AI to learn, plan, and make decisions in a more human-like manner. AI has been a key focus of Mark Zuckerberg as the company faces competition from players like OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google. It's to invest 14 billion into AI to scale the AI. I don't know. It's like everything we touch on AI and we look at these companies is like, remember, we were just talking about what happened in 2020. Like, this guy was actually blocking all the information. We were coming out trying to help people and everything. Ain't a good guy. So the problem is every single thing you do with AI and look at it and everything, it's all pre-programmed just to give the answers that they want you to have. It's very hard to get the truth. So just be very aware of that.
Yeah, it's I want to emphasize is that indeed they bought another company as well that, like you said, is called Scale AI. And what they want to do is to build not only artificial general intelligence, but ASI, artificial super intelligence. And so I'm pretty sure it's already there. But but now they get out in the open. It's like, we bought this company so they can do it for us. But why do we need that? We need less stupid people like Zuckerberg. Well, he's not stupid. He's just evil. We don't need artificial intelligence to say that our whole world is fucked and corrupt and evil. We need less evil. We need to remove things. We don't need to add things. Huh? In addition to that, this is a picture of this guy is having a speech at the University of Toronto. His name is Ilya Sutskever. And now you might say, I never read about the guy, but before, well, I think it's not even, well, let's say a year, whatever, he was part of OpenAI and he was the chief scientist officer of OpenAI. So he was kind of the smart guy in the OpenAI where they were developing things. He was the scientific officer, and he left the company for, there are many different stories why he did. But this week he gave a speech in Toronto. So that's a picture which you're seeing. And he says, the day will come when AI will do all the things we can do. I'm going to repeat that. The day will come when AI will do all the things we can do. This is what we've been saying here on the show week in, week out. It's not like, my job is okay. No, I can do it, whatever. This guy knows. He was the chief scientist officer who made OpenAI like the go-to platform in the world. Yeah, so if he says this, it's no joke. He knows it. Yeah? And he says, and he now explains why. And he says the reason is the brain is a biological computer, so why can't the digital computer do the same things? It is funny that we are debating if AI can truly think or give the illusion of thinking, as if our biological brain is superior or fundamentally different from a digital brain. I think what he says is correct. Yeah, there's many studies where it says that our brain works more like a receiver and a transmitter, like a processor. Yeah, so it's the way it works. And he says, like, yeah, so the way this works, the AI can do it. And again, if these guys come out in the public, this was a speech last week of, then it's the truth. And that is what's happening. Yeah, so, and this says that AI will take over everything. And this guy, again, he used to be the scientific officer. He he just confirms it.
Well, Larry Ellison, the Oracle co-founder, uh, excuse me, recently made significant statements about integrating government data with AI models. During the video call with former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, that's the warmonger for those that are aware, at the World Government Summit in Dubai earlier this year, he described the integration as the missing link for fully leveraging AI. He specifically suggested consolidating fragmented data sets related to health, agriculture, infrastructure, procurement, order information into a single secure database that AI models could access. The benefits, he's saying: enhanced detection and waste and fraud within government systems, more informed, timely decision making of government entities, and improve efficiency in public services delivery and reduce costs, healthcare impact, better outcome of patients. It's something I used to say when I was actually younger. It was like, why don't each country replicate what the other country is actually better? Because like some countries have got things really right, and unfortunately it's all orchestrated that it's not like that. But even if you look at natural health, if everything that was in natural health was actually shared, and there's so many different things, how the world would be better. But there's kind of dangers as well, like they're saying about kind of cyber attack and data leaks. The problem is the people that are putting these things together, you can't trust them, so they're just using your information. So reality is, if you put this and say, oh, this could be a great thing because the world could be better used on this, and reducing wastes and costs that most governments don't do, because some of them get it right. But yeah, it's unfortunately, is there any how many countries in the world you actually think you could trust, and you actually put hand on heart and say they've got our interest at heart? Because I don't know, is there any that exists?
Or even if they exist, there will be very soon new elections, and then a bad guy will be chosen, or people will be killed, whatever. It just happened. I think it was yesterday. There were was it a senator or a congressman in U.S.? Two of them were killed, and they had dissenting opinions. So yes, so good will last, but only for a very short time, and as long as they like it.
Yeah. Next one's quantum computing.
Yeah, this is a picture of a quantum computer. What people in the know would say is like, what I'm missing here is like there's no air conditioning, but it's clear that even these quantum computers, they run on room temperature, so they don't need big air conditioned data centers. But the message is that there is a quantum computer just solved a problem in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That would take the Earth's fastest supercomputer over 7 million years. What? It could do in 2 minutes what the fastest computer there is in 7 million years. Yeah, so these are there. This is, I think, one from MIT. I've seen that IBM already has a quantum computer, and there are many people working on things. Microsoft is involved in stuff like that. So this is the backbone which is supporting the AI, is supporting the AI back office, is supporting the management of the humanoid robots or whatever. And this is at speeds and at levels which we cannot even fathom. Yeah. Like how difficulty and many people I talk with is when you ask an AI and it's like, well, can you give a summary of this book or writing about this book? It can read a book in 1 minute. I'm like, what? Yeah. But we think in sequential and in reading. I don't know what the AI does, but it doesn't read because otherwise you cannot have in 1 minute a summary of a 300-page book. So how it's called, I don't know, but we have to learn to think in different dimensions. It's like it's more like, hey, I put this book in there, and it's like, okay, I know. And so it's like, now imagine that there are these quantum computers with these incredible speeds and possibilities that is supporting that. So when we talk about artificial general intelligence or what Magda is trying to do with artificial super intelligence, this is the infrastructure supporting that. And that is, and again, this is not a fairy tale. This is reality.
Oh, good news, Caravan. Prosthetic leg for friend. What's that about?
Yeah, there were these 3 students at a high school, not a university, but at a high school in Texas, who have a friend. Yeah, his name is Aiden, and he has a prosthetic leg, but he had always difficulties and didn't work and didn't work properly and providing him pain and whatever. And they were like, we should be able to build a better leg for him. So they were building, so they made a conscious decision. It's like, we should really build a better prosthetic leg for our friend, yeah, because they saw their friend struggling. Yeah? And they created this, what you see here on the picture is called the Neuroflex, which is totally incredible. If you think is these guys are from a high school, yeah? And they create a brain-controlled, low-cost bionic leg that seamlessly translate Aiden. Aiden is the boy with who's got a need for that leg into motion through EEG technology. If you look correctly, you can see on the middle guy he has a band on his head. So what does that band does? It transforms his commands in his brain is like, well, I assume he says something like, put left leg forward, then right leg, the bend. So he gives these commands in his brain, and that EEG, that bend on his head, translate that in an action for that bionic leg, which I think is totally incredible. Yeah? These were guys that like, well, let's say, well, I don't know, 15, 16. Yeah, so with the 3 of them, they made this leg for their friend, and it's priced at around $1,000.
Wow.
Whereas a traditional prosthetic leg, which he had and it didn't work, cost $100,000. Yeah, so that's what they did. They won a $50,000 prize in a science fair that hosted 1,600 students from 60 countries. So, but to them, it's not like, look at us or the prize money or whatever. The only reason why these guys did it is because they saw the struggles and the pain of their friend, and they just wanted to help their friend. And then you can see what, yeah, we can innovate, we can do something which is not good for the health industry, but they were just concerned as they did. We want to help our friend, and it's the only reason why we did that. And then it shows what human capability are. These are these are very young fellows. It's like it's incredible what we can do if we put our mind to it. Yeah? And we can do so much more. Look, well, this looks very complicated. These are guys from school, not from university or a meta funded startup, whatever. These are guys from school. Huh? So why can't we invent so much more if we use our capabilities? That's what I call we have so much unlocked potential. And these guys have totally unlocked their potential and they're using it to help their friend.
Yeah, hopefully open source everything that will help millions of people will be a nice way of doing it before the big boys come in and start charging 100,000 plus again. Like,
Yeah.
so, John Hopkins researchers have made a groundbreaking discovery in the cancer direction. They found that tumor DNA fragments can be detected in blood up to 3 years before traditional cancer diagnosis methods would catch it. This represents a potentially revolutionary advancement in early cancer detection. The research scientists analyze blood samples looking for specific DNA fragments that come from tumors. These fragments act like early warning signals in the bloodstream, and traditional methods can only detect once the symptoms appear. It opens new avenues for cancer research, could lead to the development of more sophisticated detection methods, and has the potential of the application for detecting other diseases. So, and I mean, for those that are in the know with natural kind of remedies, if you're able to, I mean, I always believe that we should have, like, you call it the MOT, NCT, the car kind of test that you have to do yearly. We should have that for ourselves, but it shouldn't be on a profit basis. It should be as cheap as possible. And if everybody can go in and do their tests on their blood and every single thing like that, and if there was something like that, then you'd know what to be eating. So you never even have to go through like the crap that they tried to make you go through with chemo and things like that. So that's fairly positive.
Absolutely. And I don't know whether that's currently the case, but it used to be the case in certain parts of China that the insurance would only be paid if they keep you healthy. They would get no money if you get sick, and because then they failed. Yeah. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's just what you said. Yeah.
So soda cans, what's that about?
Yeah, I saw there was a really cool invention. It's by MIT engineers. MIT is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and they've developed a revolutionary method to produce clean hydrogen fuel. It's fuel using recycled aluminium from soda cans. And well, I don't know how you come up with that idea. Is you recycle the soda cans and you mix it with salt water, seawater, and that generates hydrogen through a chemical reaction between treated aluminium and salt water. So why is this cool? Because, well, we know everywhere there are cans on the street, soda cans in the water, in the ocean, everywhere. So there are enough soda cans, and salt water is also enough. Whereas if we can create energy, that's really great. And they say that this scalable process could revolutionize clean energy production for maritime vessels. These big container ships which are bringing goods from all over the world to other parts of the world, and other transportation system. Well, maybe even planes and everything else, and even they create valuable aluminum oxide, hydro oxide byproducts for semiconductor manufacturing. So it seems like it's a very beneficial process which gives energy, low cost energy and everything, which can be used anywhere. And it even cleans up all these terrible cans everywhere. So I think it was a pretty cool invention.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, excellent. Smell in the car. Yeah, I'm hoping it's not my son from farting, but what's that about?
No, I know your son doesn't smoke yet. So, um,
There's no yet. He won't be. I've already told him, don't drink, don't smoke, don't get a tattoo. It's like a Trump thing, but yeah, your life will be better if you can stay away from them things.
yeah, it's something. I don't smoke either, but it's something. I'm living in Romania, and there are a lot of people smoking here, a lot, and I mean a lot. And what you see is that they have in their cars, on the mirror, they have these little trees, yeah, which obviously gives a nice smell because they're smoking in the car. And I saw this post, and he says, "Well, that sound like so." It looked like, oh, I got this tree to get rid of the smoke in my car. But he says that one single car air freshener, so that these are these trees which they hang on the thing, it emits over 546 chemicals, 30 of them classified as hazardous. So you might think like, oh, okay, maybe smoking in my car is not so good, but let me put in that trees, get some nice air, whatever. So maybe even such a tree in your car is worse than smoking itself. Yeah? So people don't put these trees in these cars. Well, if I go now outside in the trees, I would say 80% of the cars have such a thing on the mirror. It's really, but I didn't know that even these things are hazardous.
I did. I found that out over 10 years ago, and I didn't use it since I found out about it. And it's also the exact same as the ones that you have in your house. People have air fresheners or the sprays full of toxins, and they think, oh, let's get rid of the smell. If you will have something in the bathroom, have a match, just light a match. That works wonders. Or just open the window, but don't have these sprays. Exact same thing. And these glades and all these different things, they're all toxic. So yeah. Yeah, but it's good. Okay. So, yoga nidra study on sleep and cognitive functions. The research paper published by PLOS1 investigates the effects of yoga nidra practice on sleep parameters and cognitive functions, especially focusing on novice practitioners. The study involved 41 participants who underwent both baseline assessments and post yoga nidra evaluations. It represents a unique form of complementary and alternative medicine that differs from both meditation and hypnosis. It is characterized by performance in a supine position, generation of delta wave activity, unlike meditation, which is alpha wave status, classification as an awake, aware sleep state. The key findings and result. Um, the study demonstrated significant positive impacts on sleep parameters, including enhanced sleep efficiency, reduced wakefulness after sleep onset, and better overall sleep quality. Cognitive performance participants showed notable improvements in cognitive functions, particularly in visual objective learning tasks performance, fractal to back test accuracy. These improvements suggest enhanced cognitive processing abilities following the practice. The research has several important implications. Clinical applications. The findings suggest that the yoga nidra potential as a therapeutic intervention for insomnia treatment, general stress reduction, PTSD management. And the research is particularly valuable as it focuses on beginners, whereas previous studies mainly involve experienced meditators. This makes the findings more applicable. And just for those, you can see my QR code. I've got the meditation podcast. My very first episode was a yoga nidra. Plus, there's a lot more. There's a lot of just music ones. You just go into the meditationpodcast.org and just type nidra, and all the different meditations will come up. But yeah, it's another interesting one. So, shaking ears.
Yeah, this is a screenshot I took from a video from Dr.
I
Mandel.
thought it was from Mr. Spock from Star Trek, no?
Yeah, no, this is a doctor. I'm following him on Telegram and even I saw he has a huge YouTube channel called Motivational Doc, and he's a doctor, all talking about natural things you can do. Um, this is something which I found intriguing, and I'm applying this literally a couple of days, a couple of times per day for myself. What he's doing is shaking your ear, so you get your ear at the top, midway, and at the lower part, and you like this. You shake it 20 seconds. So 20 seconds here, then you move to the middle part, 20 seconds here, and you go there to the lower part, 20 seconds, and you do the thing with your other ear. So this exercise will take you 2 minutes. And it's helping a lot. And what does it do to you? Is it will help on several areas of your health, including reducing stress and anxiety. Who doesn't want that? Improving sleep quality. I'm inclined to say, who doesn't want that? Aiding digestion, lowering blood pressure, and even offering relief from conditions like tinnitus and vertigo. I know about tinnitus. My father used to have it. He's like, they get this buzzing high peep in their ears, which is
Tinnitus, kind of.
it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. It's extremely annoying. So again, do these things. 20 seconds, 3 times your left ear, 3 times your right ear, and it really has a huge thing. And if it doesn't do anything with it, it brings you calm and you feel more relaxed and easier. So when I first saw this, I was like, well, I'm gonna try this, and I'm doing it now 3-4 times a day. You see, it's like anyone can do it. You can even read your mail while you're doing it. You see, it's
You
like,
can listen to this podcast while you're doing it.
yeah, absolutely.
Unless you've earphones on, then it becomes a bit difficult.
So it like, I highly recommend you do it.
And I remember actually when I was doing a lot of different alternatives, there was times that the guys would have like little seeds and they'd put it into different part of your ears. And you could actually feel a benefit from that. So it's probably related. Like the ears, I don't know what.
And if you check out his video on YouTube, like I said, his channel is Motivational Talk, and it's quite interesting because this is not he has for years studied the ear, and he started with a picture where you see look like a fetus or a baby. If you picture your ear and the baby with the legs up and the head down, it totally fits into your ear. Yeah, so, and that's why he says you have to take different areas because then it impacts different areas in your body. Yeah? Because everything, your brain has a map of all the areas of your body. Yeah? That's inside of your brain. So I could relate and say, okay, that's how it connects to all these different areas. So it's totally amazing. And again, if it's just try it.
I found the benefits of ginger. It contains a rich array of beneficial compounds, carbohydrates, 50 to 70%, proteins and amino acids, lipids, essential vitamins and minerals, including magnesium, vitamin B3, iron, and calcium. Health benefits contains powerful bioactive compounds, including gingerol, shug, aloes, and paradols. Helps reduce inflammation throughout the body, particularly effective for conditions like osteoarthritis. Contains over 400 bioactive chemical compounds. Digestive benefits. Aids digestion by promoting gastric motility, helps relieve gastrointestinal discomfort, prevents indigestion, reduces bloating and cramping, particularly effective against nausea from various causes, including morning sickness during pregnancy, chemotherapy-induced nausea, and post-surgical nausea. cardiovascular benefits, helps lower blood pressure, reduces cholesterol levels, prevents platelet aggression, improves blood circulation, reduces risk of cardiovascular disease. There's a lot of different benefits. I mean, what can you do? Like you can use it in your tea juicing. I've often, you do some juicing, put a bit of ginger into it. Even for colds, it helps with colds, pain relief. Just make your tea, put a few slices into it. I've often done it when I'm not feeling great, and so it's same with your throat. If your throat is sore, it helps that. It's make sure that you have it in your kitchen.
Well, literally, the water I'm drinking is I cook it for 15 minutes because there's fluoride in the water, and then you got to put in acid. So I put in citron to get rid of the fluor, and I I got ginger in it. This is what I drink every day.
Well,
That is much better than Bovar. You might have heard about it. Most likely, most people have not. Something Bovar was introduced by Bill Gates. And why is it? Because he wanted farmers to give it to their cows to make them burp and fart less, because that creates methanes and toxic chemicals in the air. So he wants to reduce those burps and farts of the cows. So it started in Norway, where they said, well, you have to give this Bofar to your cows. And then they introduced, and this was a few years ago, so they tried to push it so they would sell the milk, which was, where this Bofar, which is a toxic, by the way, given to the cows, and they would call it climate milk. So that was in the supermarkets there, but it appeared that nobody wanted to buy that stuff. So they stopped selling it, but now they are like, well, we don't like that. So now they're pushing all the farmers to say you should use Bofar to feed your cows this chemical. Otherwise, you will lose your subsidies from the government, which can run up to almost $90,000. So this means that all farmers are now more or less forced to give this stuff to their cows. But this is toxic because I read here an interview with a farmer who says, I have small children with me in the barn, but Bofar is toxic and require personal protective equipment. So you got to put on special equipment because it's toxic. He said, and if there's dust from this feed, it can injure my children. So if I'm feeding my cows this stuff, I don't allow my children to be in the barn. Hey, why do they want you to drink it? It's toxic. It's
and the meat afterwards, like, because once they stop producing it at a certain time, if they're having this stuff that's toxic, we're eating that, which in turn is toxic meat as well.
Yeah. So, but again, they're forcing it to do all the farmers in Norway, and you can bet it will be pushed on all the farmers.
That's not just in Norway. I've seen that in the UK. I saw it big in the UK. There was a load of people objecting about it, and you could see them all on the shelves. But then they were actually not even saying it. They changed. It's like with the sugar, they change it, amino sweet and all this. They're doing the same with that. They're changing the names, and yeah, it's yeah, Master Gates up to it again. Every single thing that guy touches is to the destruction of humanity.
Absolutely.
So it looks like the farmers were obeying orders just to get their benefits. So what's that about?
They cannot live without it because
No,
the prices are so low because of the power of the supermarkets that they need these subsidies, and they say if you don't put it in there, you don't get the subsidy. Well, you get broke. So what do you do?
I mentioned it about Jeremy Clarkson's last week, I think, and the abattoir. Is that's where they get slaughtered? Is that what it's called? That's the pronunciation. So they were shutting them down. So then they just had to ship them off to the places for the supermarkets, and a lot of the smaller farms were like, we don't have enough for that. So then there was like a guy going around collecting the smaller farms, say they had 6 cows or whatever, and charge them so much. So like they can't even. So everything is done like that. Everything is orchestrated. That just goes to the big boys. Same with the crops and everything. They dictate what crops to use, and people, because like farmers are really struggling. They work very hard and they can barely survive. So when someone says plant this crop that nobody can eat because it helps the soil, they just do it, and yeah. It's eventually that hand stops going out, and you're no longer a farmer, and that's what they want.
Absolutely. That nicely, between quotes, ties into the next topic, which is obeying orders lowers moral responsibility. What does it mean? That there have been an fMRI study. fMRI means you go through with your whole body through a scan. They done this scanning, and it shows that people feel less responsible for their actions when they follow orders, whether they're civilians or military cadets. So researchers have measured the sense of agency. Agency means like, hey, I've got a capability to decide and do for myself. Our perception of being the author of our action during moral decision-making tasks involving harm. So you know what you're doing is creating harm with other people, but it says that participants who acted under coercion showed reduced temporal binding and no marker for diminished agency. So it means just like, well, it's well, in the Netherlands and in a lot of countries very famous after the World War II is like, ik heb het niet gewusst. Huh? Yeah? It means I didn't know. It's like, nobody told me. They just told me to put the Jews on a train and send them somewhere. I was just following orders. Huh? Yeah. There are people who are executing that thing is like, make bovar in your cows mandatory. They know they're pushing poison, but what they say is like, my boss told me to do that. So here is now, well, even in a, let's put it, physical sense in your brain, is being, the study shows that it's like, it's not my responsibility. The people who put all these toxins in even these trees in your mirror, in your car, they must know that a lot of this stuff is toxic, but yeah, my boss told me to do it. Yeah, and if I don't do it, I lose my job. So it like, this is why we are now have ended up in a society where there's so much toxicity, unhealthy stuff in everywhere. A lot of people do now. Or they must have experienced that shit. But they're like, I was told to do so. Yeah. And that diminishes your agency because it's like, well, not my thing. It's somebody else who told me. So why am I sharing this? Because I think this is one of the causes of the problems in our society. So it like, we should take responsibility for our own actions, and we just stop putting toxins in food for animals, food for ourselves, in everything else. It won't happen. Because have you ever seen a CEO on the assembly line filling the toxins? No, they're not working there. So if you stop doing it, they can't. And they won't because they know it's toxic. So it like, we have to take back control, take back our own agency. Because otherwise we're not even slowly, we're rapidly being poisoned.
Yeah, I'm seeing a load of stuff, reading a load of things like that, and it's like, I know people have mortgages, they have bills to pay, and it's like, you just have to look in the mirror and ask the question, is this hurting humanity or helping humanity? And the only way. It's like, be a whistleblower, even if you have to remain anonymous. Like, just pass on the information, because that's the only way it's going to stop. Because if you know what you're doing in life is actually hurting people, there's millions other doing something else that you don't know about that's hurting you. And it's like every single thing that you're aware of that's not good, you have to stand up, because otherwise, what's the point in living?
And sooner or later, it will destroy you because you will get cancer or something else, or stomach thing, or a heart attack, because your system knows that you're doing something dangerous.
Yeah.
So, although you might pretend to the outward world like, I cannot do anything about it, your conscience knows. Huh? You truly know. Huh? So, can you live with that? Do you want your children to be like that? That's your decision, and I hope you choose to live a more honest and responsible life.
This goes for all them idiots spraying us as well. Those that have created it, those that make it, that manufacture it, that put it in the plane, that are storing it, every single one of them. Because prior to recording, I was just telling Arnold, my son was at a birthday party yesterday in a park, and I was there for a few hours, and this morning he's all clogged up. Even though the sky was kind of technically blue, but I know it's not blue because I can see the haze. And then even last night I could see him spraying away the same today. But my eyes were just killing me the whole time. I was clogged up and everything, not feeling right. And it's like, that's happening a lot. I know it happens to you, Arnold, as well. And it's like, based on what you just said, every single one of them, or if you know somebody's involved in doing that, you have to shun them. You have to shun them. You have to shun them. You have to disclose it. You have to take a picture. If you see someone that's doing that, tell everybody, tag them, picture them, show them out there, give a review. I've learned that giving reviews of people. So when there's companies involved in this, the same with anything that's bad, it really hurts them. So anything that pisses you off in life, just go in and give a review. For example, go in and have a look at BBC reviews in in Trustpilot. It's got 1.3. Everyone is actually just abusing it. So make sure that you just don't sit and complain. Do something about it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we are the Shield Protecting Children is a national child protection movement led by outlaw bikers and community members dedicated to safeguarding children from abuse and exploitation. It operates across Great Britain, driven by honour, discipline, and a mission to rectify systematic failures. They serve vulnerable children, their families, and community, focus on high-risk areas where predators thrive. And I mean, I talked about that yesterday and or last week, sorry, with the rape gangs. And there's a few people now that are coming out and doing interviews, which is great. It's getting out there. And Tommy Robinson has been released, and I know he talks a lot on that. And unfortunately, governments, cities, and councils, they're all so basically it's like a vigilante group. They're protecting the communities because these scumbags are running the place. The police are afraid of them. So they're working on donations, and I fair ducks them. They're doing something good for humanity. For when the police and the governments and the councils and everything could do that, I mean, they shouldn't open the borders anyway. Why are they bringing in these people? So yeah, these guys are doing what the government isn't doing.
Yeah, but that's why we should. That's what I call, we should take our power back. We've given it away, but we should take it back.
Yeah. So accountants to Kiev, what's that about?
Yeah, they're well, you can see they really look like accountants in.
Are they working for BlackRock? Are they to just start doing all the bits and pieces?
Most likely some of them, but there you can see it like in the Hilton in Kiev. Yeah. And why are these accountants? There's a group of almost 100 accountants who arrived in Kiev because, well, the U.S. government has made a decision. It's like they pay $240 billion, yeah, to the war in Ukraine. And they want them to know is like, where did our money go? What did you do with our money? Show it. Huh? That's what these guys are researching. And I think that's a good thing because the European Union paid something like 200 billion. That's together 440 billion. What are you doing with that money? Yeah. So these guys are finding out. Yeah. Well, I don't know whether the results will ever be published, but I'm pretty sure not, because Mr. Zelensky buys an apartment for his mother in the most expensive place in Dubai. Yeah, so it like, and all of the top government guys they used to have big houses and mansions in California. It's like these guys are finding out that, like, what are you doing with our money? I think the EU should do the same. It's like, send accountants. It's like, what have you done here? Did you pay food for the soldiers? Did you buy ammunition? Or is it just for your own benefit and your own crooks? Yeah. So I think EU should also send accountants and then make it totally public, because it's our money. It's taxpayers' money. It's your money and my money. Yeah. 460 billion. I think for 460 billion a year, we can make sure that everybody in the world has got nice food and water. I'm pretty sure we can do that. Is it? This is well, something which is happening, and I thought it at least is a worthwhile effort.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Do we find out any more about it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and to help with our cost, donations, like $5 a month, even just to help towards the cost, will go a long way. Inside in the show notes, both the audio and the video, there's the link for that. You'll find Arnold on braingym.fitness. You'll find me on roycollin.com, where you'll see the 6 podcasts and everything else I'm doing. And yeah, so if you've anything that you'd like us to discuss, just write. And we always love your comments. And we see a lot of the seasoned listeners coming in and commenting, and we really appreciate that as well. It's nice to see. Until next week, take care.